Is this what you're talking about right here? I got this cool app on my phone too. I like how you can zoom in and do like the 3D and look at the city and everything. But my issue is that when you zoom out and you go into outer space, this Earth that we live on turns into a cartoon. This is a cartoon now. Where is the real Earth? Oh, that's right. Space ain't a real place. That's why this camera doesn't go into outer space. In fact, I'm going to show you right now where these images come from.
It's not that they wouldn't use the magical floating satellites if they could. It's that they don't physically exist, nor does the globe. They have been sending these up one at a time since it all began. I will allow them to explain it.
It's also the genesis for NASA's newly developed super pressure balloon.
The reason for super pressure ballooning is they have absolutely stable altitude, day, night, and it doesn't matter how cold the atmosphere is. They are sealed.
So your shape is always the same, you always displace the same amount of air, and therefore you have the same amount of buoyancy all the time.
NASA's been using balloons for science research for over 30 years. The exploration that can be done on balloons is continuing to grow. The standard balloon that I fly is about 660 feet long when it's made.
So let me get this straight. It is now public knowledge that they send up satellites on massive helium-filled balloons. As you should know, NASA is the largest consumer of helium in the world, for obvious reasons. But the issue with society is that they never critically think. Just think for a second here. If these are sent up to provide the world with all of the important information we need, and I'm sure the entire process is expensive and difficult to accomplish, then please explain to me what in the flat world do these pathetic animations do for you? Do they make you happy inside? Are they so super duper cool that you cannot see past the obvious CGI? The fact of the matter is everything NASA sends up on a balloon simply hovers above our motionless Earth. That is why they rarely speak about orbiting satellites, and of course, they never show footage. Here is some footage of a random evening with a man, the moon, and his Nikon P900. Notice anything floating up there?
Forget it, Bart. It's so bright out you can't see anything in the sky except the Fox satellite.
And then every now and then these satellites come crashing down. They fall out of the sky with those helium balloons attached to them all over the world. But you don't hear about it because you likely get your information from mainstream media. And I'm going to tell you why that's a bad idea. The same people that own the news are the same people that are perpetuating this hoax, all right? If you want the truth, you got to find it yourself.
Ever heard of the phantom time hypothesis? It's a theory that suggests we've been living a lie. The hypothesis is a historical conspiracy theory proposed by German historian Heribert Illig in 1991. According to Illig, we are not living in the 21st century, but rather in the 18th century. Sounds crazy, right? The theory suggests that the early Middle Ages, 614 through 911 AD, never happened and were fabricated by the Holy Roman Emperor Otto III, Pope Sylvester II, and possibly the Byzantine Emperor Constantine VII. They allegedly altered the existing calendar to place themselves at the special year of 1000 AD, creating a phantom time of 297 years that never existed. Illig's hypothesis is based on the scarcity of archaeological evidence that can be reliably dated from the years 614 through 911, the perceived inadequacies of radiometric and dendrochronological methods of dating this period, and the over-reliance of medieval historians on written sources. The phantom time hypothesis is widely dismissed by mainstream historians and scholars. It contradicts verifiable historical and archaeological data from around the world, and the Gregorian calendar we use today, introduced by Pope Gregory XIII in 1582, is widely accepted as accurate. So, what do you think? Are we living in a fabricated timeline?
Even in the Disney film, in Pinocchio, it's unbelievable, the pub scene. And you'll remember this when you saw it as a kid. It gave you a creepy feeling in your belly.
Let's see it. Pub scene in Pinocchio.
He talks about bringing the boys to Pleasure Island.
How would you blokes like to make some real money? I'm collecting Pleasure Island.
Pleasure Island.
Pleasure Island? But the law. Suppose they... No. There's no risk. They never come back.
The Amanita muscaria is the most fascinating one to me because that's the one that looks like Santa Claus. They knew that there was a relationship between carnivorous trees, and carnivorous trees would grow these weird-looking, shiny red and white mushrooms under them. Carnivorous trees is pine trees. That's what we use for Christmas trees.
Yeah.
Those red and white packages, they are like the shiny packages underneath the Christmas tree. They are the color of Santa Claus. They're common in Siberia. They're eaten constantly by caribou. Caribou are reindeer. Reindeer are addicted to these. Here's where it gets even crazier. In the times in Siberia where it would become extremely snowy, the shaman would visit. The way they would get into the house is through the fucking chimney because the door would be snowed in. So they would climb in through the chimney. I mean, there's so many parallels to Santa Claus and to Christianity. This one mushroom that they think was a massive part of shamanistic rituals.
Jesus never existed. Horus, a sun god, he was born a virgin on the 25th of December, had 12 disciples, and he was a child teacher. He was crucified and buried in a tomb. Mithra was born a virgin on the 25th of December, had 12 disciples, and was dead for 3 days and resurrected. Mithra, Horus, and Jesus all had 12 disciples and was all born on the 25th. The 12 disciples are the 12 zodiac signs. The 4 Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, are the 4 seasons of the year: summer, spring, autumn, winter. Why do you think they have suns on the back of their heads? It's symbolizing the sun. On the 25th of December, the sun moves 1 degree northward, bringing back the summer for the Nordic people. So they would celebrate the summer coming, the warmth, and growing crops and easy food. On the 22nd of December, the sun stays still for 3 days on the Southern Crux constellation. The cross dies on a cross. Jesus always has a sun on the back of his head. He's the sun. Why do you think they call him the risen savior, the light of the world? He's the sun. It's the same story the ancients talk about with Horus and Mithra. These deities never existed. It's all a metaphor. The link is in the bio for the Manifestation Mastery course.
The Bible goes into detail about what it looks like when angels fall from heaven. The book of Revelation says that the devil was hurled to earth. And Luke chapter 10 says, I saw Satan fall like lightning from heaven. Some people speculate that the appearance of angels being cast out of heaven would look similar to comets or shooting stars. And what's interesting is that if you look into meteor impact zones, you could clearly see a crater, but there's generally no asteroid or space rock ever found at the location. The official reasoning that we're given behind this is because the meteorite or asteroid would evaporate upon impact. But what if the impact was just caused by a spiritual being that was cast out of heaven and then eventually got up and walked away, roaming our world as a fallen angel?
You want to see proof that our history is a lie? Let's take a look at Kailasa Temple. This temple, first off, the rock is 6,000 years old. This entire site was carved down from one stone. And nobody knows how they did it. There's no record of this, nothing, okay? But it was said that the main temple was built in 18 years, according to local legend. And it's just absolutely baffling, because all of this was carved out of one single rock. Can you imagine that? How unbelievably mathematical and intelligent and advanced you would have to be in order to do such a thing. How could you seriously carve this with primitive tools, even with advanced tools, to almost laser precision? Everywhere you look is just absolutely symmetrical. And the craziest thing is that 400,000 tons of rock were removed from the site in order to make this temple, so the experts have said. And it is a mystery to modern day science and archaeologists.
Interesting. He came across the craziest data on eels of anything I think I've ever researched on an animal on the planet. And one of the things that has baffled scientists, they cannot figure out how eels procreate. All of the eels end up traveling to an area in the Bermuda Triangle. They all go there, they all know to go there, and then somehow new eels come out, but there is no mating process that creates the eels. And of course, the craziest ideas have come out of this. They're somehow coming out of some type of portal over there. And think about how an eel looks. It looks straight out of hell.
Antarctica is sketchy.
Yeah, every single country has signed a treaty that you can't do anything in Antarctica. No one can go to certain areas in Antarctica, and no one can own Antarctica. Hitler at one point went to Antarctica with like 40-something virgin women. Isn't that bizarre? He has a documented voyage to Antarctica with like 40 virgin women.
And there's no reason behind it?
They had like a official meeting. They still have official meetings. The leaders of XRP that created XRP went to like this World Economic Forum giant meeting in Antarctica for no reason. They just went to Antarctica to have a meeting. Why would they do that?
There's a theory that Russia is abandoning their space exploration because it can't break through the firmament. And urban explorers stumbled upon this Russian space site, which was supposed to be an active site, but it seems it's not. They also announced they're pulling all of the people from the International Space Station. So if the International Space Station is real, could it mean that Russia is just pulling them because they don't want to be a part of the lie anymore? They're saying they will never go back to the International Space Station ever again, and claim to now be focusing their efforts on things that actually matter here on Earth, like nuclear power. After decades of supposedly going to space and traveling around the Earth, Russia is completely stopping. So what do you think the real reason is that they're doing this?